Hello,
Hey there.
teachers. Hi, Naomi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going to go and put us live on Instagram now as
You do that.
well.
And while Naomi is clicking the buttons to go live on Instagram, welcome everybody who is joining us from Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. My name is Karen, and I'm here with Naomi, and we are from the British Council Teaching English social media team. And what are we talking about today, Naomi?
We're talking about assessing learning. That's our theme for the next 3 months on teaching English. And so we're going to be looking at all aspects of assessment. And today we want to look at talk with you about what your feelings around assessment. So we've got lots of people coming live onto Instagram here. Hi everyone on Instagram. I see we've got people. I see some Vietnamese names there, and that looks like maybe a Korean name there.
Oh, yeah, I see. Okay, yep, I can see everybody on Instagram as well. Fantastic.
Oh,
Super
we
duper.
have Adam from the Philippines. We have Mark. We have Pukezi. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So I guess it's good morning or good evening. I think for Karen, it's good evening.
It is good evening. It is 7 o'clock here on a very, 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 very hot and sunny day in Portland, United States.
And
In
good
Oregon.
morning.
Are we in Oregon?
Oh, yeah.
We're in Oregon. Yes, in Oregon.
And good morning from Thailand, where it's very humid and muggy because it's rainy season, and it's 9 a.m.
Wow. And
Wow.
also, what day of the week is it, Naomi?
I'm on Friday.
I'm on Thursday.
Isn't that
So
crazy?
hope the future is good for me tomorrow when Friday comes.
Yes, welcome to the future. And welcome to all our audience here. We have Eve from Argentina, no, Maria from Argentina, who's saying good evening, and Marilyn from Paraguay, also in the evening there. We have on Instagram, yes, Yasir is cloudy and raining. Sandra in Rosario, where it's evening. Morning in Jakarta from Krypton. Gosh.
And I saw somebody had said it was 7 p.m. in where they were as well.
Awesome. Okay, so
oh yes, they are 11 p.m. Yeah.
Lovely. So you might have seen we had a poll up on Facebook and Instagram looking at what people's thoughts are on peer assessment, and I wanted to share with you the results of that. We got some really interesting results from our audience, and we want to chat about those. So I'm just going to pop that up on the screen. Karen and I will disappear for a second.
While that comes up, can I just ask, can everybody hear me okay? I've got a fan on because it's quite hot. If the fan is bothersome, I can turn it off. Just let me know if the sound is okay.
Sounds clear as everything to me.
Okay, super.
Yeah.
Very good.
So let me just turn off that banner because it's hiding the bottom.
Yep.
Okay, so as you can see, 84% of people said that they thought peer assessment is effective, and only 16% disagreed, which I thought was really interesting.
I think that's very interesting as well. What's interesting for you about it, Naomi?
I mean, I often find that peer assessment can be quite tricky. I mean, here in Thailand, and I know a lot of other countries, with concepts like FACE and so on, people don't want to show anyone up or embarrass anyone. So actually saying negative things about another student's work can be quite tricky for certain students. What do you think, Karen?
Absolutely. Whenever I've tried to do peer assessment, especially when I was first starting out as a teacher, and maybe even, a little bit like 10 years in, I'm going to pause there. Can you see the question from Kirsty?
Yes, very, very relevant question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Peer assessment is, so let's say, for example, that Naomi and I are in the class and we're a peer, we're a peer together, or maybe we're in a group of 3 or 4, and the teacher asks us, can you assess each other in your group? Maybe give some feedback or give some comments, or maybe sometimes even a score or a grade. It can happen, like a mark out of 10 for how well they performed the task, or accuracy in the language, or the time that it took, or how much everybody interacted. And that is peer assessment. I wonder if that's the same definition as others. I'm guessing so. Is that what everybody thinks it means? Is that the same as you?
That's a very good question. Yeah, is that how you use peer assessment?
Yeah. There was a comment here from, there's one from Maria. One feels inferior in front of the other in my country. That I felt that quite a lot when I've done peer assessment. And I don't know, I've also found sometimes that the students don't really know what to do. You know, they're not used to kind of commenting on each other's work, and they're not really used to and I think they don't know what is missing or what is good. You know, like as a teacher, we're listening to students and like, oh, that was a really good use of that word, or I know that student has learnt this new expression and they're using it. That's fantastic. They're following the instructions well, but I'm not sure if students know that explicitly so much.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I think that's one of the areas where we as teachers really need to give our learners some training. If they're going to be doing peer assessment, we can't just throw them in there without much guidance. We really, really need to give them a very, very clear structure of what they're assessing. So maybe just even assess like one thing. Start out very simple. So if you're listening to someone speaking, are they pronouncing the words that you've been previously learned in that class correctly, or have they used the vocabulary that you've learned in the class in the correct way? So just start out really small.
Exactly, and almost starting out with some like almost just like yes no questions. You know, did they do this? Yes, no, yes, no. And that's a sort of easy way. And then once you've trained your learners to be able to give a little bit more of constructive feedback and know what they're looking for, they're also able to receive some of that information as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So they're also open to hearing it too. And I also think recommending that or suggested that students highlight positives as well as negatives. They're not just looking for mistakes, they're looking for what other students did really well. Makes it easier for them too.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely. I just was bringing up a comment there from Maria. I agree with peer assessment. Maria, what do you like about it? And here's another one from Katra. It helps a lot, especially in mixed ability classrooms. Interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. How can you tell us a little bit more of how you use that, Katra Al-Nada? Like, how are you getting people to assess each other? Yeah, lots of people are very pro.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Yasser says that the fan is very soothing on Instagram.
Oh, nice.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I hope you don't fall asleep, though.
Oh, okay. That's we have a comment here on Instagram. Asel Kayam Shakova. My students very often assess each other unfairly. Should I give them criteria for assessment? And I think, if they're being unfair in their assessment, then clear criteria will really help with that. I think that's a good question. Yeah.
Naomi, can you take down the poll?
Oh, yes. I'm doing that. Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's okay.
How do I stop sharing? That is the question. I think I'll just go back here.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, no, too close.
Too close. Sorry. Yeah, too close. Whoa, zoom. I think that's a very interesting question about criteria. Because I've had teachers asking me, you know, what are those criteria? What kinds of things do you write? And so, like we were just saying, some very basic yes, no questions. Did they use these words? how long did they take? Did they use some new words? Did they get stuck, for example? Did they sound confident? So sort of, looking at the positives of fluency, confidence, accuracy.
Yeah, I think this comment from Flor here is really interesting when it comes to this. I think creating a safe environment in the classroom for students to make mistakes. And I think, yeah, if you have a safe environment where students don't worry about making mistakes occasionally, then having other students mention their mistakes isn't going to be such a big deal. It's like, oh, great, that's something I can learn from. That's something I need to work on and develop. So it's that growth mindset.
It is, and it's hard to create it because I know, like, when I go along to my Catalan classes, when it's my turn to speak, I try and think of like good things to say, use some nice words, some new words, because I want to impress my classmates and the teacher and prove that I am learning something. So when I make a mistake, I'm always quite hard on myself. And the best teachers that I've had are the ones that sort of take that mistake and put it on the board for everyone to comment on, and not like sort of correct me straight away on the spot, like a sort of delayed correction type of thing. Then it's a bit anonymous. So I know it's my mistake, but others are also, but because the teacher puts it on the board and the whole class is benefiting, then I feel like, I don't know, given something.
Yeah.
We've got lots of comments coming in. I was just looking on
some really great comments here.
Instagram. So, and also here, did you show this one already? Creating a culture of assessment.
No.
So Miguel is like, creating a culture of assessment and community, which I think is really important, starting right from the beginning. So if you're starting with some criteria that people are following, then the students know that that's what's going to happen.
And I think, if you have that sense of community in the classroom, then helping other students, whether that is by correcting them, becomes less of a stigma, becomes less of a hard thing to do, if you've got that feeling of community.
Exactly. There's a comment here from Wasima. I think to develop critical thinking, there must be some sort of assessment. And I feel, Naomi, that leads quite nicely into one of the comments that you picked up on a webinar about testing fact or process.
Oh, yes, that's a very good. Let me pop that up on the screen. Yes,
thanks, Wasima. That's a great comment. There we go.
Yeah. So this is from last week's webinar. One of the audience members was talking about how her students have this knowledge but don't know how to apply it. So a lot of her assessment focuses on how the learners apply that knowledge rather than just showing that they've acquired it.
So an example might be, we were thinking about this and going, yes, if you test the meaning of a word, like what's the opposite of far, and somebody writes near, but that's not showing you, that's showing you the meaning of it, but not showing you how to use it in a sentence that might really show a deeper meaning of it, especially with some more abstract concepts. So asking somebody to use these words in a story or to give an example that illustrates the meaning of far, like, my friend lives very far, it's 1 hour on the bus. And that will show that's an understanding of the word far. So it's sort of putting that practical into process. And I think that this person is also talking about like some project work, which you're bringing in all of the skills around language, construction, around processes and steps. So creating a story or creating a project will bring in all of those skills. I think it's fantastic. Yeah,
absolutely. That's a great point, Karen. We've got lots of new people coming in on Instagram here. We've got is it that Johanna in Colombia?
Yeah.
We've got Mr. Biscuit in Paraguay.
It's fantastic. It's evening. And Batul in Pakistan. And here we've got Shanti from Nepal.
Yeah. What a great international audience we have today.
It's
I think
fantastic.
that's something I'm interested to ask the audience here. Is having a webinar at this time good for you guys?
Oh yeah,
Is this a good
having
time? Is this
having
a
a
good time?
Facebook Live.
Yeah. Sorry, not webinar. Facebook Live.
Well, it could be a webinar. Could be a webinar. This is an interesting one from Zin. Fluency is the first thing they need when they are trying to speak. Absolutely, 100%. We shouldn't correct at once. After that, we have to point out the mistakes generally. Delayed correction. I'm a huge fan of delayed correction, unless it's something that's very tiny that doesn't interrupt the flow of the conversation. What do you do in your classes, Naomi?
Again, I try and delay correction as much as possible. I think occasionally there is call for it when the student has something that completely changes the meaning. If they use a word that's completely like the opposite and it's confusing the audience, so it breaks up the whole understanding. So that is one instance where I might jump in.
Exactly.
But otherwise, delayed.
Delayed. There was a comment here. This one about. Let me see if I've got the right one. Here. This one from Kawish. I think peer assessment is not just a method of evaluation, it's a powerful learning strategy. It makes students more responsible for their learning, improves language awareness, and supports the overall communicative goals of language teaching.
Yeah, definitely. That's
definitely
very good definition.
Yeah, it's like almost like having a life skill.
Yes.
I think we've posted a video about Annie talking about self-assessment as a life skill. And I think, I know for me, I'm not great at peer assessment, but mainly because I haven't been trained in it very well. And
definitely,
so I think having some more of that.
Yeah, and that also goes into self-assessment as well, which I think peer assessment and self-assessment two sides of the same coin almost. Because self-assessment, you have to be able to look critically at yourself and be aware of your strengths and weaknesses, which I think is a very important part of critical thinking.
For sure. Yeah. And as time goes on, there's less thinking. So this is one here from Wakar. It's a great idea to let students correct mistakes in groups to help each other. So Naomi, would that be peer assessment or group work or just a great classroom?
I think all of the above. I think that's a combination of all those things, isn't it, really? Yes, it's students working in groups with some peer assessment elements and making a great, lively classroom.
Win.
I want to come watch that class.
Yeah. We'll be over soon. There's one here. This is something I've just been working on, Rayaz Ahmad. Assessment is at the center of learning, assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and assessment as learning. So assessment is a process, is embedded in learning. So I was trying to make some definitions, which I'll post out in the next week or so, of assessment of learning for learning. But now I missed out assessment as learning. So I'm just going to make a little note in my old-fashioned paper and pen booklet. But I get very muddled.
Me too, yes. Yeah, I was about to say, if you have the clear definitions in your head right now, I would love to hear them from you because I'm so confused.
I do, because I've just done them. So assessment of learning, assessment for learning is in the classroom. Little things that you do to check, is everybody kind of getting it? A quick thumbs up or a mini whiteboard or just reading a face. If the students are like looking a bit confused, then you're like, okay. And that is an immediate feedback signal for the teacher to go, stop, repeat, do some more examples, get someone else to explain a little bit, maybe translate, use the home languages maybe. So that's assessment for learning, because you're learning like it's for something in the future, in the next bit. Assessment of learning is looking back at what you've taught. Have they understood the unit, the course, the term? So that's the more traditional, grades, exams. There's a mark or a number or a letter or a percentage. And that's usually something that you take home or a certificate. And so that's longer, it's looking back over a longer amount of time. And the assessment for learning is like now, snapshot now, ready for the next bit.
Brilliant.
And assessment as learning, what's that?
Ooh, I'm not entirely.
I might need to ask somebody if
I can
anybody
make some
knows.
guesses, but I wouldn't want to give an absolute definition now.
Yeah, might leave that. There's a fantastic comment here on Instagram here from Raja, Neelam Raju. We introduced the concept of LTPF, learning together and peer feedback. We encourage students to assess themselves and self-assess and peer also. That's great, learning together and peer feedback. So that sounds like it's a process and a system that they know quite regularly from the beginning of the school term or year.
Definitely.
Here's Maria, I feel when they're bored. Yes. that is a kind of assessment for learning. You can just see on the faces and the noise levels and you can sort of sense in the classroom, right? You're going like, okay, maybe take a step back or repeat something or sort of check. Yeah.
Or give them a break. Give them do something light and fun for 5 minutes just to wake everyone up, and then dive back in and look at what they were confused about.
Yeah, that one where you like do the stomach circle and pat your head. It's very difficult and you can't do it the other way. Something like that uses a very different part of the brain.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely. Oh, we've got lots of very interesting comments coming in here, yeah. Oh, and hello from Myanmar there, and Brazil. Dulcie and Anne from welcome. Loads of people here on Instagram as well. You mentioned something earlier about grades, points, and whether you're using letter scores or number scores. That's something I'd be really interested. How do you grade? Do you use numbers or letters out of 100, out of 10, percentage? What do you do? Let us know in the comments.
Tell us in the comments. In my school, while teachers are thinking about what they do, we use two letters and plus and minus symbols. So we have A, like A, E, which is A, and then excelente. And then we have one that is like notable, which is just like average, AN, and then a couple of other letters for A, B, and C. And then we have an arrow up or an arrow down, which is interesting. I've not ever seen that before. So it's a mixture of letters and arrows.
That sounds really complicated.
It is really complicated. When I first saw it, I had to ask somebody, like, what does all of this mean? Like, is AE better than AN or AC? I don't know.
Yeah, that would really confuse me. I guess there's a whole learner and parent training process required just to understand the grades.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not really sure what the criteria are, but because I think a lot of schools don't necessarily share the criteria with the students of what they're grading on, or what they're marking of. Like this is, so Maria is at the interesting comments here. She uses numbers, but they have to. So yes, there's often a system imposed, right? And it doesn't show what they're capable of. And MB Biscuit says numbers. Is using numbers as well. Yeah, it's quite difficult. What do you use, or what kinds of things have you used in different places you've worked in?
I think I've used an awful lot of different ones. I've definitely used letters, the A through F. And
no, F, poor F.
Yes, it's a horrible. And then I've used numbers as well. I think I've used, I can't remember different times.
Percentages?
Yeah, I've definitely used percentages. Yeah, percentages has been a big one. Yeah, and yeah, as Maria says, it really doesn't. If you just have a single grade like that, it doesn't show what the student's capable of. It's not breaking it down into the different elements. It's not highlighting what they're really good at and what they're struggling with. Yeah. You need something much more holistic, I feel.
Yeah, I feel it's like kind of you almost need to have, and I think some schools do it with columns, and you're like, kind of a little bit like some of the big exams do. Did you complete the task? Yes or no? How was the accuracy in the sentence structures if it was written, rather than it's right or wrong. Going back to earlier, one of the comments that somebody made in the webinar about not just testing the fact, but the process of applying the language.
Yeah, and it's also what exactly are you assessing? What is the grade made up of? Is it
exactly
just did they pass some tests? Is it were they showing up to class on time? Another one, were they putting in effort?
Yes. Yeah, no, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was like, yeah. I mean, I think do you give marks for effort? Is that something that you reward in your class? I would really like to know. Let us know in the comments if you give marks for effort. Do you, Karen?
So I'm a bit confined by a system, and we've got the sort of annotation that we use, and what I do in addition is we collect the dossiers from the students for the whole term, and I write a note to them about the things that I've noticed that are great, and so it's all positive. Everybody gets something positive and personalized. Takes a bit of time, but for me it's worth it. And some of that is like I've noticed how hard you've worked, or I've seen you make a lot of effort. So it's not so much a specific for effort, but in the past I've added a column for effort, because I think that just gives some encouragement. Now, you can work so hard and get 55%, but it doesn't reflect the effort. Or you might have made a massive effort and improved by 5%, but that is still, huge.
Absolutely, yeah.
So many comments coming in.
Yes, I really like this one here from Qatar. They're obliged to use numbers, but they add observations and comments for stickers, and students look for the stickers first.
Yeah.
So stickers show different elements of what they've been working on, so that the students can better understand what their grade is made up of.
I love that, and then the students will know what the stickers mean, in that learner training kind of way. That's great.
Yeah, a nice way to get around a very rigid system.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And this one here from Letty as well. So even when a student gets a low grade, they give them suggestions for how to improve. Brilliant. Yeah, that's a very important part of it, because a grade on its own isn't any use for students. They need to know.
No, but they go straight to the grade first. There was an experiment done in a school in the UK quite some number of years ago that was made into a documentary, and the teachers didn't put the grade anymore. They only put the comments. And the students at the beginning were really upset, because they wanted to know if they'd got an A, B, or a C, and they were comparing each other. They didn't really notice what was room for improvement or the things they were doing well. So when the teachers started commenting on, keep doing this because it's really good, next time try this, here's some examples or some suggestions. After a while, they started really improving way more significantly than just with a mark.
Brilliant. Oh, that is such great stuff. Yeah. It's a shame we can't implement that in all our classrooms.
It is a shame. Here's Erica in Peru. It's letter grades. Yeah. And there was another one of somebody saying badge for 80 and above.
Oh.
And there was another one of, here, words, concepts from excellent to bad. And I guess a range in between. I think that the most significant part, Naomi, is do students understand what that means? and what
Yes.
they need to do to get to the next bit.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, if you just give them a grade without any framework around it, without any guidance, it's not going to help them develop and grow.
No.
So it all has to be part of a system that gives feedback on what is working and what isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, my goodness, I was just looking at the comments that I have now successfully lost on Instagram.
Yeah, I think you seem to be you seem the Instagram comments, you seem to be getting them ahead of me. I think
Oh,
I'm getting mainly that people are joining, which is great. Hello everyone on Instagram as well. But yeah, YouTube and Facebook. So yeah, are we? Oh,
I know.
oh
There's
wow!
just so many coming in.
Yes, there's so many great comments.
Here.
Yeah.
I give marks for effort, but most of the time, small gifts are appreciated.
Oh, yes,
Um,
everyone. Yes.
this is a good example from Amir of an exit ticket as an example of assessment for learning. So you ask a question, the students write the answer on the piece of paper, they hand it to you, and you can look at them and decide and see, has everybody got it or not? And if they haven't, then you can just do a quick revision or some peer work or group work or something.
Absolutely. And I'm just thinking, because I think we're coming towards the end of our slot
We
here.
are.
I'm just wondering if we should maybe do a little exit ticket for our audience today. Maybe they could one thing that they would like us to look at regarding assessment in the coming weeks and months. So it's not quite an exit ticket of what you've learned today, but what you want to know in the future about assessment.
Okay. I'm going to make a banner for that.
Oh, awesome. Oh, I am just going to quickly pop up this comment here from Reyes, because that's a really unusual and really nice. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
a really unusual and nice way of giving grades.
That is beautiful.
I just love
that. I absolutely love that. In fact, I think we should turn that into a post.
I think we will.
Quote. That is beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, that is really nice.
And I'll let you go back to your banner, Karen.
There we go. So, teachers, what would you like to know more about in terms of assessment? This is our theme until the end of August, so we're almost halfway through. Still lots and lots and lots of time.
Isn't it September as well?
July, August, September. Yes, end of September. Thanks. End of September. Oh, that's what happens in a different time zone. So, yes, let us know in the comments what you would like to know more about, and we can provide content for you over the next coming month and a half. And we'll be having lots of webinars, lots more discussions, lots more resources, lesson plans, and videos coming your way.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for giving such great input today. We really love it when we have such a lively audience like this, and when you're all sharing. Sharing is such a great thing for teacher development. So thank you all.
It is. Well, Naomi, it's time for me to have supper, I think.
Yes, it's dinner time there, isn't it?
It is. It's a breakfast for you.
Yes. I'm going to have I might have a second coffee.
Ooh. Super duper.
And I think Maria is midnight there. So good night, Maria. I hope you sleep well.
Oh, I'll just give, like Maria is asking about certificates. We don't give certificates for our live events, but for the webinars we do. So if you go over and have a look at our webinar, our teachingenglish.org.uk, then you'll be able to find the webinar page and sign up for register for webinars where you do get a certificate.
Yeah, generally the rule of thumb is if it's a 30-minute session, it won't have a certificate. If it's an hour, it usually will.
Ah, perfect. There we go.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day or night, depending on where you are. And we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.